to From the Source podcast, episode 12. And today we're going to be I'm going to be putting more respect on the names of people who do 5 and 10Ks. So this episode is kind of dedicated to the 5 and 10Kers and why in current times a shorter distances might need a bit more respect, because it seems that if you're doing a marathon, or everyone says they're going to do a marathon, they seem to be getting all the respect, and they're all over social media. So those 5, 10Ks feel a bit left out. So this episode's completely dedicated to them. So today we're going to speak about kind of the myth of like only real runners run long distances, why 5 and 10Ks are ideal for people just starting out as beginners, a few little training tips for the short distance runners, and kind of what's been the running theme throughout these last few episodes is about kind of just celebrating your personal best along the way, no matter what the distance is, like 1Ks all the way up to ultra marathons and 100K trail runs and stuff. So celebrating those personal bests along the way is what people tend to normally forget about. So what is the myth? What is the myth with this whole real runners run long distances? So there's this massive thing in the social media world and just life in general that you're only classed as a proper runner if you can run 100K a week, or finish a marathon under 3 hours and stuff like that. So only marathon runners are the serious runners, and they're the only ones that are allowed to comment. And I feel that 5 and 10K runners specifically get forgotten about, and I think there's a real element of real respect on both ends, because marathon running is, you're still at like a high heart rate, but it's more of a relaxed pace for longer. So it depends which way you want to really look at it. Would you rather put yourself through like a steady amount of pain for 3-4 hours, or would you rather literally balls to the wall it for 5 to 10K for a race, and it's high heart rate, really painful, but potentially 5Ks you're done under 30 minutes, 10Ks you're done under 60 minutes. So it's which one you really want to do and get out of the way. But I think I'd be more intimidated by a fast, like all out 5K run time trial than I would be a marathon, because with a marathon you can go slower in some bits and save your legs and then push on again, whereas like a 5K you can do that, but you'd be dropping off for like 200 meters to then go back up and run hard again. So especially for a 5K, you might as well just blast it out of the gate. There's no real room for error, and you've got to really pick that pace and run tight to it. So kind of being a runner isn't really about the distance, as I've spoken about. It's not about like how far you're running sometimes. It's just kind of the fact that you're showing up and you're putting the work in and you're running and being active regardless of the distance. And I think it's great for like beginners just to get out there and just run, just to start and see if you like it. And think putting yourself under immense pressure to do a 5K time trial on your first run, or doing a marathon straight out the gate, is just too much pressure. But I think if you're just starting off as like the goal to be quick at 5K as a beginner, you just want to be, right, I'm just going to run a few times this week for the next few weeks, see how it is, and then do a 5K time trial as like a baseline to be like, right, 25 minutes is my baseline now. Let's do a training plan, see where I am in 12 weeks' time and retest. But I think this whole real runners run long distances does potentially put your beginners off. Because like, Jesus, I'm just starting out. I'm just doing what I thought was right, and now it's not respected because you've just got to be doing marathons. I think if anyone's got social media, you probably will do if you're watching these clips, but marathons are all over the place. I know I'm running a marathon and I'm training for marathons and stuff, but I think there's quite a few people that are just marathon mad, and that's all it is. And it's these long 30k runs, 35k runs, doing a marathon and stuff like that really put some people off. And I think the respect needs to be put on those hard 5-10ks because they're minging. If you're watching any elite runners doing 5ks, the kind of the maths and when you actually do your own 5k, like working out how quick that actually is. Say we're doing a 5k in like 13 minutes. So that's like, just over 2-minute K pace, which is rapid. And then when you think about obviously putting respect on like some marathon runners, like, your Kipchoge's and stuff that are doing 2:30-minute K paces for 42Ks, which is mental as well. Once you run a 5k at a rapid pace, you'll understand like how the hell are these elite athletes, marathon runners doing this 42 times over. But I think that's sometimes the thing people misinterpret or are misinformed is that there's a higher chance you're going to be faster and better at the 5-10Ks. And then when you're getting older, you kind of mature into being a faster long distance runner because your body has just been trained to just run and run and run. Whereas coming straight into running and being immediately a good marathon runner, you've got like no base for any of it. Your body is not trained for it. So it is a lot better for your body. It'd be a lot easier on you for training to run those shorter distances first, get comfortable with them, and then go 5k, 10k, half marathon, and then kind of be the full marathon runner after years of running. And that is kind of how most elite runners would be a 400 or an 800 meter runner. Then they progress into like the 15 and the 5k, and then that's how they go up it. It's very like, I don't want to say it's rare, but it's not common for youngsters to be like, I want to be a marathon runner, because you think like even when they're in school, doing marathons on sports day would take forever. It's always like 800s, 1200s, stuff like that kind of encourages and opens the doors for young people to start their running journey. So kind of this whole real runners run long distances is, I got that off TikTok. Like I get most of these topics off that you just see people speaking about it, but real runners run long distances, I think it's just about like real runners are just people who run. You can't really class yourself as a runner if you're walking. You're just a very fast walker. So I think real runners just run long distances is just, there's a few words that just need changing on that. And for beginners, you're a runner if you're just running. So 5-10k is very respectful. If you just want to be a 5k runner, you'll be absolutely rapid, and you'll have a lot of people thinking, wow, not running with you again. So 5 and 10Ks are ideal for beginners just starting out. It's short enough to be a challenge. It's like short enough to be quick enough to kind of have it be over with. But it's definitely like, if you're just getting into it long enough to be a really good challenge, there's less risk of like injury and overtraining and stuff, because you're not in a marathon training, you're putting yourself, say, through like a 30k long run. So that obviously you're increasing the amount of time that you could get injured for. It's training for those short distances are like better for like a training plan. So you're not, say, going out for 5 to 7 hours a week of training. It's a lot shorter. It's more intense, but it's 30-minute intervals and stuff like that. Like your max, if you're doing a 5k, your max you'll run on a slow run's probably a 10k. So it's not a lot of long distance running. It's just quite a bit of short distance intervals and tempos, because you've got to get your body used to running those rapid paces more often. And like I said, a lot of beginners start off as 5 and 10Ks because it's easier to fit into like your lifestyle. And like training plans are a lot more flexible, and it's a lot easier to get out just for a 40-minute blast on the pavement rather than, like I said, 30k or 20k tempo run and stuff like that. And if you're just starting off, it's like there's loads of like quick wins with doing the 5 and 10k training, because you'll notice a progression a lot quicker. I'm not going to lie, it will hurt more if you really wanted to push yourself on a 5k. This is like if you're starting off as a beginner and you think, I really like this, I want to push myself to get better. The interval training is harder, but it's not as intense. For a 5k, probably the one that kind of training that I would dread would be like the 5 1Ks, because you'd actually be able to see how quick do you think you'll be able to run this 5k. But yeah, the shorter distances will help build that confidence in the running when you just first starting out. And like I said, it's less intimidating than saying, I want to do a marathon, and right, your first training week, you're going to have to run like 30k in your first week. You'll probably only just run 30k in a month doing a 5k training plan. So it's a lot easier. It's better on the body. It's better, to fit around family life and work and just living in general. So they're a lot easier to do. And like I said, the shorter distances, it's more quality over volume. So making sure your intervals and your tempo runs are like spot on. You're hitting the times that you want. You're running the distances. The training plan that I've got for the marathon, they do, I think it's just called like stride runs and stuff. So you'll do like, say, your tempo, and then you'll do like 8 like fast stride runs. So it's basically like sprints, but you're going as fast as you can, but you're being consciously aware of like your running technique and your style and, your feet and your arms and everything like that. So it's kind of practicing it and in a way streamlining yourself to run quicker, because if you've got your arms flailing out like a chicken and you're trying to run, you're not as aerodynamic and you're wasting a lot of energy like running like that and stuff. So it's about that quality with your form, and then some good tempos, good intervals, kind of not getting ahead of yourself. That, say, I used to do it, and sometimes I still do it now, to be fair. You'll do an interval session and say it's like 800s, and you do them and you feel really good and you just think, oh, I feel good tonight, I'll do 10 instead. And you just add stuff to it because you feel good. And those are those little bits that chip away at you, because get out whilst it's good at that session. Don't push 9 and 10, and they actually are pretty crap. And you do increase your chance of getting injured, getting little niggles. You're just doing it. It's just pointless, really. But I've done it before and then gone out the next day and think, oh, why did I do that? And that's the same with like the long tempo runs or the zone 2s. You think, oh, I'll do 30k today, and then you get to like 27k and you think, oh, I'll just add another 5 on. I'll just add another 2 on before you know it, you've done a marathon on a training plan that you're only meant to do 30. And that catches up on you, because I've spoken on previous episodes about these training plans, and over a week collectively, say you're meant to run 20k and you run 25 that week. And then you think, right, I'll add like 10-15% off to the volume for next week. but you're adding 10% on to 25k, which bumps your way up to, like, say, 27.5, and that was never what you meant to be on. It was only meant to be 22. So each time, you're adding a lot more distance on than you should do that your body's not really prepared for yet. And that's where your little niggles and your issues all come. And it's normal to want to do that. Some weeks you get excited because the training feels good and things start to click, and it's a really common thing to do. But stick to the plans. That's all I would say. And it's about that quality. Like I said, quality over like the volume. It might look good to your mates to say, I've run 30k this week, but actually think I should have run 20 and I've got a little niggle now because that extra 10 is just where I got injured. So I don't think you'll really ever beat your body. You might feel good in the moment, but it'll soon catch you up. Kind of another, a tip for like the short distances and stuff like that is, obviously I've spoke about, lifting weights and stuff and doing injury prevention work to help you along the way. But just like the strength work you'll be doing is just more explosive, like training plan, strength plans, than kind of going in and banging out loads of squats and stuff like that. You want to be explosive, doing explosive movements. Just had a complete brain blank then. More explosive movements because you're going to be like training more a bit like a sprinter, strengthening your knees, strengthening your hips, and then a lot of explosive stuff to really fire you over the line rather than just like lifting weights like you would do, because you end up like making yourself really heavy and increasing like, your chances of DOMs and stuff like that. So strength's really good for it. Just keep the body ticking over. And like I said, prevention work. So strengthen them ankles, them knees, them hips, stretch all of them as well. Keep yourself nice and loose. And how you'd want to structure your week is, this is if you're just starting off as a beginner, this is maybe slightly different to where you'd initially start, but I want to make it aware to beginners that obviously starting, you do a few runs a week with maybe a gym session and then build it up. But a proper like 5 or 10k plan, you'd be doing like 3 or 4 runs a week. One of them's a zone 2, one of them's an interval, one of them's a tempo, and then the fourth one would either be another interval, like short or long distance, depending on what you've done, or a tempo, which would slightly change depending on what you've also done that week as well. And there's a potential to add in like a little recovery run, which is not like a zone 2, it's more like a bit of just a shakeout. So technically you could do 5 runs a week, so it's like 3 to 5 runs a week, and then 1 to 2 strength days a week. So a couple of your days will be like a double day. So strength and a zone 2, say 1 day. And that's kind of what you'd look to build into a plan. That's what you want to strive to be doing each week. And then obviously plans come in like 10, 12, 14 or 16 weeks. So there's longer plans, but I think those longer plans are obviously more aimed at your marathon type runners, because like I said, it takes a lot of time to get better at marathons, because you'll have to keep that pace consistently for longer distances. But I'd probably say between like a 12 and 14 week plan, and you do 3 weeks on with like high intensity, 1 week off, which would just still be your 3 or 4 runs a week and stuff like that, but less intense. Kind of, you're lowering the intensity to give your body time to recover and like gain its strength back and everything like that. And then you go again for another 3 weeks. So it's like 3 weeks on, 1 week off. And that's basically just like a simple training plan. I've spoke about it before in previous episodes and stuff, but that's what you'd kind of train like for 5 or a 10k. And obviously once you get to those bigger distances, you just kind of tweak them, but kind of still keep the same structure. You just kind of spread it out over 16 to 20 weeks, really. And for anyone who's like racing or doing these time trials and stuff, it's all about the importance of like pacing. So one thing I would say is when you're doing the interval training and stuff like that, if your pace is meant to be, say, a 3:30 for the intervals, stick to the 3:30 because that's part of the plan. And don't get too excited because in a few weeks that pace will drop and you'll have to, obviously run faster. But also use that time to actually practice running at that pace, because the importance of pacing when you're actually doing your 5 or your 10K is you'll work out, what you want to be running each K in for that distance. So say you're 5K and you want to do it in under 20 minutes, each K is going to have to be 4 minute a K, and the last one, say 3:59, will get you a second under 20 minutes. So being able to look at your watch and also kind of know what pace you are running at without constantly just keep looking down and wishing time would go away and go quicker. So the importance of the pacing is massive in it. And when you're doing these 5 or 10K time trials, you have to kind of decide on what type of person you want to be. Do you want to even say do a 4:20? Say if you're doing a 5K, do 2 4:20s to start with, which means you've got 40 seconds over in a way to get you under that 20 minutes. If all of them are going to be 4 minutes, then you're going to have to lower your last 3Ks by 40 seconds. So do you want to start slow and build in? Do you want to start fast and hang on? Do you want to progressively just lower those Ks each time? It just depends on what type of person you are. And what you decide is what you stick to. And if you're doing the time trial, let's say a park run or stuff like that, don't get influenced by your mates or other people around you, because they might have trained differently, and that's kind of what it all comes down to. So I'd rather start off like normal and build into it. And I think at the start of the races, I would get not nervous, but your belly would be going and stuff like that, and I feel like I can't concentrate enough. So it'd take me time to build into it, a bit of confidence. Then I'd get quicker, and then I'd get better near the end. So pacing is really important, but pacing is also really important just in your training as well. Sticking to your plan, sticking to the pacing, and you'll get faster, quicker, and better than blowing yourself out each week, just trying to strive to be quicker each time. And kind of the one last thing I'd wanted to finish on is, throughout all these plans, and I've done episodes on this before, is just about celebrating these goals. So if you listen to this for the first time and you're now going to go out and do a 5 or a 10K, and you run tomorrow, or you're running right now listening to this, celebrate. Not have to throw a party each time, but pat yourself on the back, and say, I wasn't going to run today, but I did. Or I've hit my 5K PB, or I'm lowering my times each time, or my intervals are getting better. There's so many things, you could pat yourself on the back for, and it'll help encourage you even more. I think a lot of us just go completely blinkers on, and that's the goal, which is great. Obviously you're really focused on it, but you're forgetting about everything that's going on around you. You're not even understanding that your times are getting better, or your body's recovering quicker, and which is benefiting your training plans and stuff like that. We're always just straight, this is what I've got to do, this is what I'm doing, nothing else is going to stop me. And you think you have to enjoy it along the way sometimes, and there will be times where the training plan won't go to plan, and it'll feel shit sometimes, and you'll want to stop, but kind of pulling on that past encouragement and achievement that you've had will really get you through it. So set those goals for the training, and pat yourself on the back and say you managed to finish the whole interval session without extending your breaks. You beat your last time on your time trial, or whatever it is, or you even down to the point of you've enjoyed it a bit more than you did last week. So that could have been like you're now training with other people, or your training is actually working, and you wanted to show up each time. So celebrate the wins, put them on Strava, be happy about them, put them on social media, be happy about them. Loads of people probably slag you off about it, or not encourage you. There's no one really claps you when you're first starting, and then when you kind of make it and you're famous in your eyes, people will come out in the woodwork. So keep posting on Strava, keep posting on social media, whatever you want to do. It's slightly relatable to like what I'm doing with the podcast. Like some weeks no one views the videos, some weeks loads of people view the videos. Some people comment, some people share, there's loads of different things out there. But each time this is like, podcast is what I want to do, the running plans is what I want to do. Everyone listening to this is the 5K or the 10 or the marathon is what you want to do. Stick at it. And maybe no one will ever tap you on the back and say, well done. But at the end of the day, it's only you that kind of gets the medal at the end and celebrates it because you've put all the hard work in. So please take away that you don't need to run 26.2 miles or a marathon to be proud. You can run 5K, you can run 10K. It doesn't really matter what you run. Just be happy and enjoy that you're out and it's fresh air and you're able to do this, because a lot of people aren't able to do this. So it doesn't matter about the distance. And ignore the myth of real runners only run long distances, because I'm hoping as a part of this episode that's completely like debunked that idea. So get out there, hit that, the running watch, put it on Strava, be happy about it. And along the way, you can join our run club if you want on Strava. Or if you don't want to join the run club, you can like and share these videos, or, just comment on these videos on any socials and stuff for any like tips or anything, or send us a DM and we can talk it through. But, over the next few weeks, I want to be getting out there with people and, doing some zone 2s or intervals and stuff, and, being more involved with people that are out there running. And, if anyone's out there that's just starting off a plan that wants help along the way, I'm more than happy to help and run with you, and even go out on your zone 2 runs and stuff. The more the merrier. It's something I strive to do as well, because sometimes it's quite lonely just running out on the pavement. But you've got to get it done. So thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. Please like and share all the videos, and I'll see you on the next one.